Hello and welcome to the Gallant Goblin. My name is Grady Wong, and today we are looking at the full set of minis in the WizKids booster set Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse. And many thanks to WizKids for sending us a factory set to share with you. Now, Monsters of the Multiverse was an interesting book because it didn't really add much new content. Instead, it took all the races and most of the monsters that Wizards of the Coast added in 5th edition since the Monster Manual and Player's Handbook came out, and updated them to new rules and standards that have been introduced since then, notably in books like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So it's like Monster Manual and Player's Handbook Part 2. However, we did get new interpretations and art of some of the races, such as a Fey origin version of goblins and this absolutely amazing hobgoblin rocking out. That means this booster set was a chance for WizKids to fill in minis from monsters they didn't get to do the first time around, and also release commonly used enemy and ally minis from past sets with new sculpts and updated paint jobs. That makes this essentially a new Monster Menagerie booster set, and possibly the best and most accessible set for new and veteran collectors alike. Now, if the multiverse isn't enough outer space for you, check out Vast Grimm's newest Kickstarter. We covered the Vast Grimm system, which is an apocalyptic sci-fi survival take on the immensely popular Morkborg engine, in the eye in the corner of the screen as a sponsored video for their first Kickstarter. The books are endlessly stylish, while easy to run so you can end the universe the way it began, with a bang. The new Kickstarter has 3 48-page hardcover books. The first book, Blood Altered, is a campaign with multiple adventures as well as additional subclasses and monsters. The Space Raiders book adds new classes, factions, and a hex crawl in a region of space known as the Graveyard, which is filled with junker ships controlled by Space Raiders. Then there's Space Cruisers, which includes starship creation rules, space combat rules, and new locations. There's also a whole collection of mission patches to show off how many adventures you survived. Also available as add-ons is the original core book and a GM screen to make sure you're ready for whatever horror space can throw at you. Check it all out using our link in the corner of the screen or the video description down below to let them know we sent you, or you can go directly to the Kickstarter page at vastgrim.com/KS. One of the big changes in Monsters of the Multiverse was making goblinoids Fey creatures. As a playable race, they now have Fey ancestry, giving them advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the charmed condition. All the other traits stayed the same, and no update was made to the basic Bugbear stat block as it was in the Monster Manual rather than a later book. A regular Bugbear has a CR of 1. Changeling is a player option and creature originating in Eberron, though you can of course use it in any setting if your game master allows it. They have also been defined as Fey in Monsters of the Multiverse, but lack resistance to being charmed. They are shapeshifters though, able to change their appearance and size between medium and small, as well as duplicate the look of anyone they've seen. Sorrowsworn are from the Shadowfell and are creatures who embody an aspect of the sorrow and pain that is inherent to that plane. Wretched ones are small creatures that hunt in packs, representing hunger and desire for vitality. They greedily suck the life out of any creature they can run down, but being wretched creatures, they only have a CR of 1/4. Duergar is another playable option. They're dwarves who have been twisted by life in the Underdark, having encountered strange magics there, as well as spent some time captured and experimented on by mind flayers, which gave them psionic abilities. They have dark vision and can use innate magic to grow or shrink in size. Canoloths are a form of Yugoloth, which are evil mercenaries from the plane of Gehenna. We've had minis of various types throughout past sets, and they feature prominently in the blood war between devils and demons that was central in Descent into Avernus. Canoloths, appropriate to their hound-like form, are trackers and guardians, typically hired to protect something. They have a CR of 8. Chitine are Underdark creatures who serve Lolth, created from elven prisoners who are transformed to gain spider-like traits. They spin webs and hunt creatures who run into them, but can also be coerced to serve worshippers of Lolth. We previously got a Chitine mini in Volo's and Mordenkainen's Foes booster set, and they have a CR of 1/2. Cranium Rats are rats who didn't get the memo that squishy parts like brains should be inside hard parts like skulls. Just kidding, they're created by mind flayers from normal rats. A single Cranium Rat isn't much smarter with a CR of 0, but a swarm merges the minds of its individuals to make them much more powerful and dangerous. We previously got a Cranium Rat swarm in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist booster set, though that one had a lot more rats with much less distinctive features. A swarm has a CR of 5. If you have trouble telling all the Underdark creatures that start with D apart, welcome to my life. Derro are dwarfkin, but categorized as aberrations. They are basically the what-if worst-case scenario for Duergar, lacking cohesive social structure and being both paranoid of each other while quick to obey more powerful creatures. Their Mind Flayer origins causes sorcerers to be common among them, which is what this CR3 Savant represents. The Drow are elves who live in the Underdark and have very dark skin despite being sensitive to sunlight due to living with a lack of it. They have traditionally been evil, and when asked if their scientifically inaccurate excess of melanin might therefore be racist, Wizards of the Coast quickly introduced a faction of them who aren't evil. Shadowblades are assassins who can teleport in dim light or darkness. They are now supposedly of any alignment, but retain an ability called Devil's Sight. They have a CR of 11. The Drow House Captain leads their troops and is one of the highest positions of power beneath the Matron Mother. The strategically placed hand in the House Captain's pose fails to conceal his nipple, which technically means he is banned from DM's Guild, Wizards of the Coast's official marketplace for third-party creators who want to use their intellectual property, because contrary to what they assert about the OGL does not permit third-party creators to use Wizards of the Coast intellectual property. House Captains have a CR of 9. Now we're getting Duergar for specific stat blocks. The Soulblade uses their psionic ability to manifest an energy blade. They can also turn invisible and deal more damage when enlarged. Their stat block only has a CR of 1, but I really wouldn't want to cross one of them because you're really just dealing with an angry invisible giant Jedi. Xvarts are fun. They're clones of the demigod Xvart, who was a guard for the demon lord Grozit before he betrayed his boss and stole a bunch of treasures from his treasury. To avoid being caught by the vengeful Grozit, he created Xvarts, which look like him and cause any attempts to divine his location to find the closest Xvart instead. I personally think you could use this interchangeably with a Boggle Mini. Xvarts have a CR of an 8th. Rutterkins are demons who wander the abyss, eating non-demons who dare enter. Their bite is poisonous, and creatures who die while affected by the poison transform into a mains demon. Rutterkin have a CR of 2 but move in packs that are followed by mains demons, so the sum of the mob can make them quite dangerous to encounter. We're getting into our uncommon minis now, but if you're excited about the new and refreshed spins on classic content that Monsters of the Multiverse presents, you may also be interested in the Fablemaker's animated tarot set from our sponsor Hit Point Press. Whether you're already well-versed in tarot or have never touched it before, there's something for every RPG player here, as it comes with a guidebook on the meaning of the cards and how to use them to generate ideas for a character's backstory, themes, and plot lines. Plus, there are rules for using a tarot deck as an in-game item, similar to the deck of many things, but, you know, an item skilled for an individual character and not designed to break the entire world. Plus, each card is gorgeously illustrated with 8 frames of animation, so you can use these tarot cards to generate a backstory for one of the new minis and playable races that you've picked up from this set, or a new monster encounter. Go check it out and pick up your own deck or guidebook or both as a bundle at animatedtarot.com. Here we have a new and fairly unique looking goblin. It's based on the art for the goblin race options in the Monsters of the Multiverse book, which I think comes across more ferocious looking in the art than this mini. There's been a lot of new goblin minis coming out with different looks and weapons, which is helpful since you usually encounter a lot of goblins at once. Aasimar are another player option first introduced in 5e in Volo's Guide to Monsters and reprinted here. Very little has changed about these humanoids, who are mortals descended from a celestial, but the subraces got compressed into a revelation option that you choose at 3rd level instead. We do get cool art for this new mini, which seems to be for the Radiant Soul, as that is the option where you can sprout brightly glowing wings. Orcs also get a reprint and revamp in Monsters of the Multiverse, with this mini representing perhaps a more roguish or sneaky character than a frontline warrior. One big change in Monsters of the Multiverse is it moves away from fixed ability score modifiers tied to race, so you're not heavily tilted toward a strength-based build by selecting an orc, nor do you get negative modifiers by default for any race anymore. We're getting a lot of Underdark love here. The Deep Gnome, or Sverfneblin, is a playable option and have magical camouflage abilities that allow them to easily hide underground. They can cast Disguise Self and Non-Detection innately once a day starting at 3rd level, and they have dark vision. Abishai are former mortals who worshipped Tiamat and earned enough favor from her to serve as a devil under her upon death. As befits the 5-colored chromatic dragon goddess, Abishais come in 5 colors. Green ones have a CR of 15 and act as spies or negotiators for Tiamat. We also get a black Abishai in this set as a rare, and previously got a blue one in Volo's and Mordenkainen's Foes booster set, a red one in the Descent into Avernus booster set, and a white one in the fixed set box Archon the Cruel and the Dark Order. Unlike Wretched Sorrowsworn, which seemed to originate from the Shadowfell, Lost Sorrowsworn are visitors who got, well, lost. They embody the desperation and anxiety of those who can't find their way, and they have an embrace attack where they grapple people and hold them tighter and tighter, transferring their own fears to their victim in the form of psychic damage. They have a CR of 7. Oinoloths are another type of Yugoloth and represent pestilence. Their very presence poisons creatures and kills plants, so the sight of one on the battlefield can cause entire armies to flee. They aren't particular about who they kill, so they're hired only when all other options have been exhausted due to their tendency to destroy the armies they're supposed to be aiding, as well as those armies' enemies. The Dolphin Delighter stands out in that it is not a reprint, but a new creature in the Monsters of the Multiverse book. It is a fey dolphin. They can communicate telepathically to sing sea chanties at you, and have a CR of 3, slamming into targets to bludgeon, blind, and assault them psychically. I assumed that Hungry Sorrowsworn basically described me shortly before dinner time. Then I read that they have an insatiable appetite and, quote, stuff their maws with flesh and drink in their victims' screams. So, yeah, that sounds about right. Denizens of the Shadowfell may just refer to these creatures as the Hungry, and they have a CR of 11. More drow, hooray! These Lolth worshippers exchange their souls for greater power, and you can see evidence of this fiendish bargain in the extra spider-like red eyes they have. They can shift between their true drow form and a spider form. The odd mini pose you see here is based on the art where she's tying up victims with spider silk, but they didn't include the cocooned people she's bent over on the mini. Drow Arachnomancers have a CR of 13. The Duergar Warlord is a CR6 creature who leads other Duergar into battle, with abilities that buff or utilize companions like Call to Attack, that allows up to 3 allies to use their reaction to make a weapon attack, or the Scouring Instruction reaction that acts like Inspiration with a D6, except the recipient must take psychic damage to use that additional roll. Looking at the Dybbuk, you might assume it's a zombie of some sort, and you'd almost be correct. But this is not its true form. Dybbuks are demons that look like flying jellyfish, but they like to possess corpses in the material plane and use them to cause chaos. So think of them as evil flumps puppeteering dead humanoids. When not possessing bodies, the Dybbuk is incorporeal. It has a CR of 4. We previously got a Catoblepas mini in the Theros booster set, but it looked extremely different from a regular one, so this is our first real Catoblepas mini. The write-up for the Catoblepas feels unnecessarily judgmental, describing it as being as loathsome as the vile swamplands in which it lives, a conglomeration of bloated buffalo, dinosaur, warthog, and hippopotamus parts. The first trait in its stat block describes its terrible stench, and I was about to quote Phoebe from Friends, telling the smelly cat that it's not your fault, except when we go on to find out the Catoblepas can shoot death rays from its eyes. Murder is your fault, smelly Catoblepas. It has a CR of 5. The Outhouse Mimic does not have a unique stat block. Someone at WizKids presumably went camping and had some terrible ideas. There's a whole set of mimics shaped as things other than treasure chests coming out soon, so Murder Tongue fans, it's your year. This fancy Outhouse Mini has a door that hinges open and closed, so you can surprise your players, or you can use it as a regular outhouse if you keep the door shut. A basic mimic stat block has a CR of 2. This fancy bird thing with a CR of 1 is actually an elemental from the elemental plane of fire, as is the Firenewt riding it, so good thing it's immune to fire damage. In fact, it can breathe fire of its own, sending out basically small fireballs that can set things on fire if they're not being worn or carried. Firenewts favor giant striders as mounts, going out of their way to find them wherever possible. This mini comes with removable parts, so that you can remove the Firenewt rider to have the strider on its own. The Firenewt rider also comes with legs, so that it can be an independent creature. And that independent Firenewt is number 29 in this set. We didn't get these minis in booster boxes, but I assume that 28 and 29 arrived together as a set, as has been the case when we have gotten other pairs of Mount and Rider minis. Firenewts are also from the plane of fire and are amphibious, needing hot water to survive, so you'll find them underground near geothermal sources. We previously got Firenewt minis in the Tomb of Annihilation booster set. A Firenewt warrior has a CR of a half. Harry Potter fans, relax, these aren't those Howlers. They're much worse. These pack creatures are from Pandemonium, where fiends may establish dominance over a pack to then train and lead them into battle. They have a mind-breaking howl that incapacitates those who hear it, making the victims easy prey. Howlers have a CR of 8. So D&D and a lot of other fantasy systems went, why not have dinosaurs in our games? The Stegosaurus is exactly that. No fire breathing or magic or weird psionic traits, it's a dinosaur. There's actually quite a few dinosaurs in the monster manual, and if you want an adventure to use them in, Celeste Conowitch, currently one of the senior game designers at Cobalt Press, has an adventure called Dino World on DM's Guild that uses every dinosaur stat block in 5e to date, and is, as you might expect, a Jurassic Park send-up. The Stegosaurus has a CR of 4. The Quetzalcoatlus is a huge flying dinosaur named for the feathered serpent god from Aztec mythology, so frankly I would have expected it to have a CR higher than 2, but here we are. There's no in-game art for it, so it seems like this has just had to be based on the art from the Wikipedia article. Orthons are bounty hunting devils who often take jobs from archdukes of the Nine Hells to capture or kill someone particularly vexing to them. They have a very extensive stat block, largely due to that giant brass crossbow they have, which can apply a variety of different effects to targets it hits, from extra acid damage to restraining them with sticky webbing to putting a tracker on them. They have a CR of 10. Following the same theme, retrievers also hunt and capture creatures, but they serve a different set of masters. These constructs are supposed to resemble spiders, and therefore serve, yes, Lolth. Their original purpose was to capture demons in the abyss, but their effectiveness is such that cultists of Lolth use them for all sorts of missions now. The cultists are very careful not to let them fall into the hands of others though, lest they be used against them. Retrievers have a CR of 14. The Shoosuva is a demonic hyena created by Yeenoghu. They are the null equivalent of an achievement notification, appearing in a cloud of smoke whenever one accomplishes a deed in battle noteworthy enough for Yeenoghu to take notice. The Shoosuva bonds with the overachiever, who gains both a battle companion and a status surpassed only by a Flind in a warband. Shoosuvas have a CR of 8. Steeders are giant spiders found in the Underdark, which sure has a lot of giant predators for a place that doesn't support much of a lower food chain. They are aggressive and have to be kept apart, but are smart and strong enough that Underdark societies, especially Duergar, take the effort to tame and train them as battle steeds and pack animals. Now, I'm pretty sure this mini is intended to stay as one piece, but we got a few where the Duergar rider fell off, so I don't know, maybe it's possible to remove the rider? But my guess is it's glued on and our factory versions got loose. Phew, that's a lot of uncommon minis, but we've still got the rares to go. Rares are figures where you will only get one of them if you buy a case, and you'll get about 3 or 4 unique ones out of the 14 from a brick. If you don't want the mini fun to ever end though, come to our website where we have links to our Epic Encounters painting contest and our Love and Hate in the Mana Wastes crowdfunding campaign. Our painting contest gives new and veteran painters alike chances to win awesome prizes like the newest pair of Epic Encounters boxes from Steamforged Games, or a resin set of some of our minis from our Hero Plush Kickstarter. Meanwhile, Love and Hate in the Mana Wastes is an upcoming Pathfinder actual play, and if our funding gets high enough, expect to see some steampunk and Wild West themed minis from us, plus all sorts of creepy flesh warp and desert monsters to fight. So you can find all that at gallantgoblin.com, as well as the option to sign up for our mailing list, so you'll be the first to find out whenever we have new projects. But back to the minis. The Deep Scion started as a child whose mother told them that if they kept making faces, their face would get stuck that way. But no, okay, kidding. They're regular people who faced drowning and agreed to a pact with something evil underwater, transforming them into a shapeshifter with both their original humanoid form and this aquatic form. Like a warlock, they're stuck serving the power that created them, and they often serve as their spies in humanoid societies. Deep Scions have a CR of 3. The Drow Matron Mother is the leader of a noble house that worships Lolth. She is Lolth's priestess and empowered to carry out her will. They are essentially the most powerful Drow in societies under Lolth. They have a CR of 20 with an immense stat block that includes summoning demons and beating people with a tentacle rod. Sometimes, when all the responsibility is too much, they take to drinking, resulting in the tipsy version of the mini we have here. They have a CR of 20. The Duergar Soulblade is a weapons specialist who mixes alchemy with psionics. They were created by a designer who said, you know what fantasy lore needs? More hard to pronounce names with lots of consonants. That gun it's holding is a flamethrower, and no, I'm not kidding this time. They have a CR of 2. Mind Whisperers are former Yuan-Ti Malisons who made a deal with their god Seth, with 2 S's, not just a normal human name, for more power. They act as evangelists for Seth, and have a variety of spells that can affect minds, like Detect Thoughts, Suggestion, and Hypnotic Pattern, which allow them to achieve their goals. They can shapeshift into a snake and back as a bonus action, and have a CR of 4. Yuan-Ti Pitmasters, on the other hand, are priests who made a deal with a different god whose name is not so boring and ordinary. This god's name is Mershulk, and they sacrifice humanoids to try to wake him because he's known for just being asleep. The Pitmasters have snakes for hands and are very conservative, favoring tradition and slow, methodical infiltration of humanoid governments instead of more overt attacks. Pitmasters have a CR of 5. Blackguards are evil Oathbreaker paladins. They're also one of a number of quote-unquote class stat blocks introduced in Volo's Guide to Monsters that allowed you to give fairly hefty CR abilities to humanoid NPCs if you wanted foes who weren't monsters or traditionally villainous races. The Blackguard is armed with a glaive that does necrotic damage and a short bow, plus the ability to smite. They have a CR of 8. Bard is another one of the Volo's Guide to Monsters class stat blocks, though this one only has a CR of 2. It's a nice Dragonborn mini that I at first thought was art for the Gem Dragonborn from Bizban's Treasury of Dragons. The stat block doesn't seem to think much of its loot playing skills though, giving them a cacophony ability that deals thunder damage. And here is the last of our Abishai minis after getting the green one earlier in this set. The Black Abishai are powerful assassins who can cast darkness and hide in it. Their Devil's Sight gives them the ability to see through even magical darkness, allowing them to sneak around until they find the perfect spot to get the jump on their targets. They have a CR of 7. My least favorite mini in this set is the Starspawn Larva Mage because it's a humanoid-looking mage who is made up of worms. These worms can jump on you if you get too close, blinding and restraining you. The Larva Mage is primarily a spellcaster, hitting people with Eldritch Bolt, but if it feels the need to punch you, that attack can also poison you. The Larva Mage has a CR of 16. The Goth is sadly not a beholder who likes to dress in black and listen to My Chemical Romance. It is, in fact, not a beholder at all. It just happens to look like one, with similar abilities, such as eye rays, and it goes around posing as beholders to get more likes on social media. I don't know, I assume some developer had a deadline they forgot about and had to come up with a new monster at the last minute. Goths have a CR of 6. The Maulodeus is a 12-foot tall demon that has 2 heads, one of a wolf and one of a snake. The snake's bite reduces a creature's maximum hit points and turns it into a mains demon if the maximum hit points drops to 0, while the wolf's bite just does necrotic damage. Each Maulodeus serves a demon lord who bestows upon it a unique weapon, but they all do the same thing: decapitates an enemy on a natural 20. Vorpal sword wielders, prepare to get a taste of your own medicine. The Maulodeus has a CR of 21. The Tlinkali are scorpion folk, like a centaur, but replace the horse with a scorpion. They live in the desert, and though they are intelligent, they are largely hunters and scavengers instead of builders, though they possess the ability to reforge metal into weapons, armors, and tools. They may serve those they perceive as better hunters, or challenge them to a fight to the death. Tlinkali have a CR of 5. Starspawn are creatures who serve the Elder Evils from realms far beyond the material plane. They often arrive with a comet to dominate a world. The Hulks are big and physically strong, but require a seer nearby to command them. They also have a special ability that varies depending on the specific Elder Evil they serve. Starspawn Hulks have a CR of 10. Finally, our capstone mini is not from Monsters of the Multiverse, but likely a welcome addition nevertheless. The Deep Dragon was introduced in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, which already implemented the rules changes that Monsters of the Multiverse retroactively applies to earlier stat blocks. But the Fizban's booster set of minis only had a Deep Dragon Wormling, so getting a young one here helps fill out your dragon collection. Appropriately, Deep Dragons live in the Underdark, like many other minis we've gotten in this set. A young Deep Dragon has a CR of 5. Overall, I think this is a great set. You have a wide mix of creatures, many of whom can be used as player characters, NPCs, or enemies. We see the completion of our Abishai collection, and there are several other warbands that can be made from this set alone. We got a factory set from WizKids rather than a case, so we can't show you roughly how many total Sorrowsworn, for example, you'd get. But you typically get 3 to 5 commons, 1 to 3 uncommons, and only 1 of each rare in a case. A brick will usually give you 1 of all but 1 or 2 of the commons, with a couple duplicates, mostly unique uncommons, and 3 to 4 unique rares. But you can definitely make some packs of Sorrowsworn, Duergar, and Drow from this set. You're going to end up with fewer duplicates though, because this set has 50 figures as opposed to the 44 that was standard up until a couple years ago. I would definitely consider this a new Monster Menagerie set. It's great if you're running an Underdark or Fiend-centric campaign, such as Out of the Abyss, and there's synergies with Descent into Avernus as well. The Yuan-Ti are maybe the odd ones out thematically, but scary snake humans are always usable, and WizKids has sprinkled Yuan-Ti around in a number of booster sets. So if you're a long-term collector, you'll definitely be able to play Tomb of Annihilation finally. So what do you think? Would you recommend this set to new collectors? Or if you're a veteran collector, how do you feel it balances minis you already have with new ones? And what's your favorite one? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget, you can pick up singles if you don't want to go through the randomness of booster boxes. Some merchants, both online and local game stores, as well as sellers on eBay, will open these boxes and then sell the individual figures they get from them. Depending on their rarity, how popular they are, and how many you need of them, the minis can be cheaper there, and it's a way to get exactly the one you need if you are just missing something for a specific encounter in the campaign you're running and you don't want to go through all the randomness of getting a bunch of boxes. Meanwhile, if you wonder why WizKids does these booster systems, you can see from the pricing on singles that it's a way for them to mix figures that otherwise probably wouldn't be profitable to produce and sell individually with the very popular minis. It's definitely not a very consumer-friendly system, but we do get some benefits out of it that way. The Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse set is available now. You can find individual booster boxes for around $16. These are all US dollars. The bricks, which is a shrink-wrapped set of 8 booster boxes, sell for about between $120 and $160. And a case, which is 4 bricks or 32 booster boxes, and is supposed to get you at least one of every figure in the set, that goes for between $450 and $600. The set does have a premium figure, the Neothelid, which you can see in our review in the eye in the corner of the screen. WizKids also did promo boxes for this one. They are minis of the various spellcaster stat blocks. One promo is for buying Monsters of the Multiverse products from dndmini.com. A different one for buying from a retail store, though you'll have to ask your local store to get the exact details of how they distribute them and see if they're even able to get that promo for you. Some online retailers also sell these because they have a brick and mortar presence, so they're able to get them. There's also another set that's purchasable at conventions from the WizKids booth. You may also be able to find the promos on the aftermarket. You can see all the details about the promos in the video at the eye in the corner of the screen now. Meanwhile, don't forget to check out the new Vast Grim Kickstarter for some brutal space survival, Hitpoint Press's animated tarot cards to help you come up with stories for your new minis, and our painting contest and actual play crowdfunder at gallantgoblin.com for chances to get cool swag. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget to hit the like button if that video was helpful to you, as well as subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release new videos. We're trying to catch up on our backlog, we swear. We'll be wrapping up our coverage of Impossible Lands and the Spelljammer Ship Skill minis soon, and then we'll have some cool looks at Steamforged products, some unpainted mini sets, and more. Plus, we're publishing some articles on our website, gallantgoblin.com, about getting started in Pathfinder 2e if you're looking to pick up that system or make a transition from Dungeons & Dragons because of possible recent controversies. You can join our Discord using the link in the video description. We've got new players in our Looking for Group channel hoping to add someone to their game or find a group to join because of aforementioned controversy. So hop on in and make some new friends. You can also find us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and we will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.